Back with another JPDL Week 6 recap, all right? We're going to go right into it without any, introductions or nothing. Los Angeles Flames, number 7 ranked, took on the New York 67ers, the number 9 ranked team, on Thursday night's Peacock edition, and Los Angeles Flames won this. I feel like Los Angeles was able to sleep pretty comfortably after Sunday. It's really making, a lot of people start think maybe it's better for your team to just have a bunch of early players and have the other team play catch up, because at the end of the day, you got to put the points up on the board, and to have the team that puts up the points and the other team waiting to maybe put up the points, I don't know. Playing catch up might be the way to go. Los Angeles was done after Sunday while there were 4 players left for New York, and those 4 players weren't able to get it done. And when, your team scores 28 points on Thursday and Sunday combined, you're not winning that game no matter how many people you have left on Monday night. So the game changer of the match, and there could have been a lot, because Los Angeles Flames had a very big problem, and that was that Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Devon A-Chain, Brian Robinson, 4 key starters for him were on bye week this week, and he had a bye week or injury, and you had to figure out how to maneuver that. And most of those replacement players didn't even put up great points, if any points at all. So he needed something from somebody, and Cole Kmet was the guy who on Sunday morning football was able to get it done with 2 touchdowns, I believe around maybe 24 points, I think, in fantasy football. So that was much needed in a game where you have to win it, but it's not necessarily set in stone. So good job from LA. Going into the 1 o'clock Crunchyroll exclusive game, we had the number 6 Philadelphia Frauds taking on the number 10 Dallas Lax Bros in a game which Philadelphia has to win. Okay, last week they had a must-win game against a really big opponent. They got that done. Now it's time. What can you do against the player that you have to beat and you should beat, in all honesty? And Philadelphia, they basically crushed them by 50 points. There's a lot of players here for Philly that, got in stride and really showed themselves. I think the Detroit Lions backfield, it's kind of like a guaranteed 30 points every week, so you can't hate that. But for the game changer of the match, we're going to have to go with A.J. Brown. This is a player who has not started for Philly in a while, and it was his first time back on the field in like 3 weeks, and we needed to see that Philly had a wide receiver 1 on their team, and A.J. delivered. He did. A.J. came and showed what he was, but it was really a consistent game throughout all of Coach McCaskey's team, and, they put up great points. As for Dallas, again, 0-6 now. This is a spot where you're going to have to really figure out what you want to do here. If you even have tradable assets, I would trade them. Quarterbacks that they have should be considered up on the trade block. But everybody else, you're playing for 2025. You just trade whatever you have to and, play for next year, hopefully. Going into the Sirius XM 425 game, man, this game was the highest scoring game of the week, I believe. 163 to 132. The number 4 ranked Washington kickball team was able to win against the number 8 ranked Boston Baller brand. Boston's a team who, consistently does make the playoffs, but this may be looking like the first year in the dynasty era that he does not make the playoffs on a team that was basically a win now team since day 1 in dynasty. So to lose this game, it's really huge. I don't know if this is necessarily a playoff hopes ender of a game, but next week just makes it more crucial. As for Washington, needed this win, got it, performed great. Washington is a consistent team. They are consistent on offense, 120 or more every week, and they have occasional 160, 150 point, just, crazy weeks. And you got to watch out for that team, especially with the injuries. To still have 160 point weeks is insane. Chris Godwin, the game changer of the match. This boy put up 30 points. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are cooking right now, and Chris Godwin has definitely benefited. I don't believe many wide receivers have had 30-point weeks yet. There might have been, probably maybe double digits max. So, for Chris Godwin to come out here in a big game in which I actually predicted Boston to win, got to give Washington their props. They came to play. They won by 30, so you got to give it to them. And, next week's going to be a big week for both these two teams. Going into Sunday night, Fox and CBS simulcast. This was a huge number 1 versus number 2 matchup. Atlanta versus Toronto. And Atlanta has fallen. 117 to 144. Toronto is really showing. Man, I don't know what to tell you. Toronto, they can't be underdogs anymore. It's to the point where now they can't be underdogs, because every time they are underdogs, they prove themselves and they win these big games. I believe the changing of, his really style of play from a more traditional fantasy team to a jumbo package type set with 3 or more tight ends in the starting lineup at all times has been huge. And his tight ends are performing perfectly for him the way that he probably wants them to. As for Atlanta has been seen as beatable. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Have they had crazy weeks? Yes, but they've also had weeks with 117, 120, 130 max, where it's like, you can actually beat this team as long as your players perform on offense. Now, will he ever have a dud of a week? I believe this week is considered a dud for a team like Atlanta, especially with fully healthy team. Anthony Richardson did not play, so we'll give him that. Anthony Richardson did not play. Game changer of the match has to go to George Kittle. I mean, George Kittle has been performing for this team. I think he's the most consistent tight end in Toronto. Centered around the tight end play. You're going to see Brad Bowers get it last week. You're going to see Kittle get it this week. You may see Sam Laporta get it next week. These tight ends are going to be the emphasis of play for his team. Going with a full tight end set that no one's ever really tried to do and win. And Coach Daigle wants to be the first to do that. And I don't blame him. It's working out for him right now. And as you'll see in the power rankings, maybe it'll work out for him in the rankings. Atlanta's probably going to look and say, look, this was a big game on our roster. We didn't get it done, but hey, we're still 5-1. We can rest. And as for Toronto, they're 5-1 too. So, this conference right here, this one conference on this side, wide open for anyone to take the bye week now at this point after this win really opens it all up. Lastly, the Monday Night Football game on Fubo. We had the number 3 Las Vegas Hurdlers taking on the number 5 Vice City Business in a game where, Las Vegas was scrambling for a quarterback. There were a lot of times where he probably talked to a bunch of people for a quarterback, and, he ended up going with Danny Dimes, and he got Joe Flacco right near the game deadline. And it wasn't enough to take on Vice City Business. I think Las Vegas might be showing its true colors, and it's colors that we were seeing from the preseason rankings. Now, does that mean that we can discredit anything he's done in the first 4 wins? No, we can't. Las Vegas has been balling in the first 4 weeks. He was undefeated at a point, but now he's at a 2-game losing streak. And, I think this is a really big game next week in order for Las Vegas to determine whether or not they are for real or if they were just a 4-week fluke. I don't know. And as for Vice City Business, these boys, man, they're proving themselves. They're proving themselves heavily. This conference right here of Coach Bigby, Coach Daigle, Coach Montague, Coach Fitzgerald, and unfortunately Coach Quanta messes up the whole thing. But have a combined, total wins, I think of like 18. I think 4 out of those 4 teams, they all have 4 or more wins. It's crazy to think of. Vice City knows they need to compete for this bye week, and they need to compete to make playoffs. They have to win games, and that is what they're doing against players that are ranked higher than them. So Vice City, I can't give them any fault for what they're doing. They are coming to play, and they're winning these games. And the game changer of the match got to go to Breece Hall. Breece Hall was cooking. Breece Hall was that guy. I believe there were a lot of, I'm not going to lie. I said it. I said, where's Breece? I said that in my last video. Where's Breece? He needs to perform. He needs to be that guy, which is, why Coach Montague has been saying he needs to keep Breece on his team. And I'm always thinking in my head, I'm like, Breece really ain't performing like that. Like, why you like, he's just off the table, bro? Like, he's putting up 5, 10, 15-point numbers. Those aren't Breece numbers. Breece came in and proved the dollars wrong this week in a Monday Night Football game where the game was probably already over, but I can't blame him. So for that, we're going to have to give him props. Let's get to the power rankings because that there's been movement ever since these games kicked off, and we got to see exactly where your teams fit on the new power rankings. We're going to try to go really fast through these power rankings. At the number 10 spot, we have the Dallas Lax, bro, sitting at 0-6. This team obviously is playing for 2025. I don't blame him. He has a lot of young talent. He's going to be losing these games. A lot of records are going to be broken in the wrong direction for Dallas, but they have Washington next week. I don't know what the plan is here. You know who I'm going to pick on that. Everyone knows who I'm going to pick on that. But Dallas playing for 2025. Another team playing for 2025 at number 9 is New York 67ers, another 0-6 team. This team is going to be looking to probably trade some of their key players. The deadline is at week 12. It is week 7 currently. So, there's still a lot of time. But you have players like Josh Allen who, maybe doesn't fit your timeline right now. You have a bunch of first-round picks. Why not add a couple of first, seconds in a player maybe? I don't know. What do you want for Josh Allen? But there are a lot of contenders who actually are pretty set at quarterback. If you look at some of the top teams, they're pretty good at quarterbacks. I don't know where he's going to trade Josh Allen to and expect some really good stuff in return. But New York 67ers 0-6, probably playing for next year and 2026. Coming in at number 8, We have the Boston Baller Brand sitting at 2-4. They are taking on the Toronto Mystics in the next game that they have. And for Boston, they're going to need a win. Boston is a team that is very big on playoff success. They're going to need wins in order to make that happen. They are 2-4 right now. They cannot afford to go 2-5 because, you know, a lot of these teams are winning ahead of them, and they're not. They're going to be next game. They're going to be 2 games down the hole, then 3 games. It's going to get worse. Boston, I don't know what the plan is, what the direction they're going in is right now. They have a lot of good running backs. Maybe they trade them off. Maybe get like a solid quarterback, solidified quarterback, wide receivers. I don't know what they want to do, but Boston has always been a ground and pound team. Will that change in the future with the trade deadline coming up? We don't know. But until then, they're going to be sitting at the number 8 spot. At the number 7 spot, we have the Philadelphia Frauds sitting at 3-3. Yes, they won this week, but you know what it is. They win against Dallas. They don't go up. I'm going to be consistent with that throughout the whole thing. So, yeah, everyone's going to have a week where they just don't go up even though they won because they played Dallas. They go up against New York 67ers. This is a game where Philly's going to need this win. Huge, perfect 2-game stretch of just getting your wins up and helping yourself in the playoff race. That's what you want to do. Philly has a chance to do that next week, really try to secure their playoff spot. They had to choose which direction they went in last week. And after beating Las Vegas last week, they chose, we're going to win. We're going to play for playoffs. And I love that. Coming in at number 6, we have the Los Angeles Flames sitting at 4-2. This team, they got to get through this Miami stint. Tua, when is Tua coming back? If Tua is coming back in week 8 as predicted, week 9, whatever, that team can live. But if Tua does not come back, it is going to be super hard for this team to thrive when their 2 big players are the superstars on Miami. Devontae Adams, when are you going to step on the field? When are you going to step on the field? We need you to play. We need you to get traded. Even if you don't get traded, we need you to put points up on the board because that's what Los Angeles needs right now is offense. He needs offensive consistency, and he is not getting that when all these players are off the field. So this next week, when his almost his full roster, besides I believe Cole Kmet, which was the game changer of the match for him, is playing next week, going up against a huge rivalry match in Las Vegas Hurdlers. This is a must-win game for Los Angeles Flames. You have to win this game. And speaking of the Las Vegas Hurdlers, coming in at number 5, we have the Las Vegas Hurdlers sitting at 4-2. They were once number 2, now number 5 after 2 weeks of play. They play Los Angeles Flames. And for Las Vegas, they got to get their offense rolling. There was no Mahomes. There was no Sam Darnold. There was no Jordan Addison this week. So it was going to be tough for Coach Mills to get the win anyway. But this is going to be a battle of the whole narrative of Coach Mills is a fraud the first 4 weeks. I don't think he is. I think he's a legit playoff team. I think he will solidify himself as a playoff team, especially after going 4-0. I don't think we've ever seen a 4-0 team really lose badly and become like out of the playoff race within 5 weeks. So let's give it time. Las Vegas needs to breathe, but this is a huge rivalry game against Los Angeles, so he's going to need to bring his A game, and so is Los Angeles going to bring their A game right back to him. Coming in at number 4, we have the Washington Kickball team. They are staying the same with a 3-3 record. These boys fight. These boys have offense, and for the first time, they did not go up against a super offensive team. Let's not get it twisted, though. Boston put up 130 on them, and they still were able to pull off the win because they knew they had to perform better. They had to perform better. They're 120 weeks. They can't have that. This is going to be a scary team when in the playoffs and when in healthy. Because look, they're 3-3. If they get a 6 seed or a 5 seed, I don't want to be that 3 seed or 4 seed that have to play him. I'm going to be real, because if you have to play Coach Luther with this team healthy, it's going to be tough for you. And I think Washington is doing a good job of just making sure they're still in the playoff race. That way, when they get there, it might be wraps for the league. Coming in at number 3, we have the Vice City Business sitting at 4-2, coming off a huge win. Oh, I didn't even say this, but the Washington Kickball team have Dallas, so they're going to win. Coming in at number 3, Vice City Business, I said 4-2. They are really in a good position right now. They're 4-2. The conference is tight between him, Coach Bigby, Coach Daigle, and Coach Fitzgerald. All 4 wins or higher. So this is going to be a game where they have to win. And this is a conference game. They're playing Atlanta. Vice City, what are you going to do going up against Atlanta Juicers? This is a statement game for you. This is a statement game for Coach Montague. Anytime you play a top team in the league, this is a statement game. And I need Vice City to make a statement that, hey, we want that bye week just as much as anybody else wants that bye week, and we're going to beat the best teams in order to do that. Coming in at number 2, we have the Atlanta Juicers. They have finally fallen from their number 1 spot to be number 2 after a loss this week to Toronto. Look, Atlanta Juicers, we know what you got. We know you got offensive weapons. I don't know if you're the number 1 team as of right now, from what I've seen. From what I have seen, there is a team that just will not go down. As for Atlanta, they need to win this game against Vice City. This is a declaration saying back up to Vice City, back up to Los Angeles. Y'all aren't close to me, all right? Y'all are 1 game away in the conference, but trust and believe, it is only me who wants that bye week. I know Coach Bigby wants that bye week. Sitting at 5-1, he still is in somewhat of a prime position to get it, but in that conference, there is somebody else who is equally fighting and actually beat him this week, and that is the number 1 Toronto Mystics sitting at 5-1. They have Boston Baller brand, which I believe they're going to win that game. The Toronto Mystics, man, Toronto Mystics are coming with a vengeance right now. They are proving the league wrong. They are saying, we want to be the first back-to-back champions. Back-to-back. I remember talking to Coach Daigle one week. This was like preseason before the thing started. He said, look, I don't know whether or not we're going to contend or whether or not we're going to be, 2-4 in the first 6 weeks, and then we're going to sell all our players and start young. But he had the ability to go in either direction. And it looks like the direction he chose was to win this year, or at least put up a good fight this year. And look, to be the first back-to-back champion is going to be something that he wants to be remembered for and will be on his JPDL resume. But, Toronto has been proving a lot of people wrong. And going up against Boston, they get this win. And Vice City beat Atlanta. Look at that. They're 1 game ahead in the bye week with great points for us. So with that being said, those are the power rankings for this week. Going into week 7, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of rivalries, a lot of crazy games on week 7 that we will be tuning in for. And, I can't wait. So JPDL, we got it going. Let's keep it rolling.